Okay?
It was about 4 minutes, I think, that you were off.
So the ego's motto then is to seek but do not find. And this is what we do with love, for people who are seeking for love, for that perfect love. People who are seeking for peace. People who are seeking for happiness. Just about anybody who's seeking for anything, they're doing it with the ego. So, what's this all about? This is about, you must understand what the game is all about. And I call this the game of life. Alright? And that's what Genesis is. If you can take all the emotion out of this, take all the stories and the dramas out of this, alright, and stand back, come up through the layers, and I'll show you how to do this, alright, and deal with the one problem and the one problem only. Because if you can deal with this one problem, then that's the answer to all problems. Okay? So there's only one problem, and there's only one solution to the problem. And that's what this is all about. So, the name of the game here is to get from here, okay, transcend this conditioned mind, get into here, and start living from this level, okay? And when you start living from this level, something amazing happens. Cause and effect comes in now to you, for your benefit. You see, when you understand the strategy and the rules, and I'm going to show you the rules and the strategy at the end, when you understand here, you'll see exactly what the ego can do and the ego can't do. So one of the things, tell me something the ego can't do.
Love.
Apart from the obvious.
Apart from?
The obvious, love. True love. The ego is, you think about this, the ego, and Jesus uses this concept for it, is a device. It's a thought system. So what it must do, it must obey the law of cause and effect. Yeah? Does anybody here know the law of cause and effect? I was explaining to you back in Revelation how I was able to do this. There's a line in the Course, and it says, Jesus says, the ego is foolproof, but not God-proof. All right? Do you know what that means?
Within the ego thought system, there's no escape. But God can enter there.
Yeah, you see, basically what it is this. Someone had to do this from outside the ego thought system, i.e. me. All right? But every step of the way, I had God with me. All right? So that's what that line means. Okay? Because in my journey, I had one thing that I had that all of you didn't have. What was it?
Faith.
I didn't need it.
Spontaneous awakening.
What, and the effects of that would have been?
Your mind.
Knowing. I knew this was here and existed, and I experienced it. But the longer when I came in here and started to work here, I started to lose this. I lost it after about 2 years. But what I could do in transcendental meditations, I could transcend this mind back into this mind at night time, still my mind, transcend my body, and still experience this here whenever I wanted.
In your sleeping state.
Yeah, or even in meditation. What you do, you see, Eckhart Tolle's asked the question, right, in The Power of Now, about how can you operate in the world and not think? Well, my answer is not very well. All right, so you can see the dilemma here. If everybody woke up on level 3, I guarantee you the world would come to a stop very quickly. You know why? Because everybody would be in the state of being, and no one would want to do anything. And you couldn't blame anybody for doing that, I swear to God. So you can see here all of a sudden, this is why Eckhart Tolle and Muji and all of these, they're in the state of being all the time.
So are they constantly without
No, they're not constantly, no. They still would have their rituals during the day. They would have maybe their meditations where they would transcend that. They would still do things, so they would be in the thinking mind. But they would have no clarity between level 1 and level 2. They would know what the ego is and stay away from it. But they wouldn't be able to teach that knowing. It's an inner knowing of you just know. You don't go there, like. So
But
you
they
can't.
explain how you
Yeah,
get there.
exactly. And that's what Genesis is really all about. This is what today is all about. You see, you ask Muji or Eckhart Tolle or any of those enlightened people, and they're just talking about complete detachment from 2 down, just let go of the self, and let go of all thinking. And you can't do that. It's impossible. So the strategy here, think about it, is for you to get to 1 to 2 to 3, not from 1 to 3 directly. Can't be done. The only people who do that and can do that are scripted lifetimes.
Are what?
Scripted.
Oh, yeah, yes. Sorry.
So it's pre-planned. Okay? So like Eckhart Tolle. Why would Eckhart Tolle have a life like that? He's the symbol of level 3. He's the symbol, the living image, that energy, that mindset exists in all of us. Okay? So that's why 12 million people were doing that book and not one person was able to do it. There's no level 2 of the power of now. And there's an obscure level 1. So you need to know a lot more than that about the power. So what this is about is strategy for you. You have to understand the strategy. And to understand the strategy, you must understand one basic law, the law of cause and effect. Because the law of cause and effect operates on all 5 levels. Okay? Can anybody tell me how it works in their lives? How do you see it working?
For every action, it's a reaction.
Yeah.
So everything that you do has consequences.
Yeah.
Sometimes not immediate.
Well, when's the last time you reacted to something? Did you understand what you reacted to, why you reacted to, what you denied, what you projected? Did you understand what it was all about, or did you just flip it off?
I remember exactly the reason.
There's something going on all the time in you, and you're not observing it. And because you're not observing it, it's running amok. Okay? It's going to destroy your life, because there's one rule here, and you'll see the rules. The longer you stay on level 1, the sicker you become, until death. So today is a very monumental day. You know why? Because I was able to achieve one of the great discoveries of this world. Seriously. What I achieved, was greater than going to the moon, outer space, shackled. I achieved the discovery to the cure for cancer, the cure for all sickness. And I'm saying all of this, and you might think it's all egotistical to be saying this, all right? But that's what I want to highlight the importance of this is. It's not about that I did this. I couldn't have did this because I needed to teach this for me to learn this. That was the conditions and rules for my script. Okay, this information wasn't given to me. It was given to me, given to you through me, for me, as well as all of you. And that was one of the rules in that. And that ensured that the information was clear, specific, and simple. So the name of the game is for to get to level 2. Okay, that's the strategy involved in this. So you need to understand cause and effect for this strategy to work. So let me show you cause and effect for a moment, all right? Most people doing A Course in Miracles and doing all forms of spirituality, right? And I just asked the question in here earlier on to Rachel and someone else. Why are you here? You're here to get something, and you're here to get rid of something. Isn't that true? Yeah? So what you're really, if you're honest, what you're looking to do is get to level 3 and get rid of the shadow. Yeah? Everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
What's the problem with that? Huh?
You can't skip levels.
And that's obvious, but what else is the problem?
You don't stay there.
Trying to
really.
get there from the ego.
You're taking this with you?
Yeah.
It's the fundamental mistake that every seeker of spirituality in the world is making today. They're trying to get rid of the shadow, and they're trying to get to here. Okay? You have two things going on. You're trying to get rid of something, which is you're trying to force something, and what you force will stay with you, or what you resist will resist. Because at level 1, everything you force will meet the equal and opposite resistance. And the other flaw in that plan is this: you cannot get to here. You cannot attain enlightenment. You cannot seek for enlightenment. And there's a fundamental one truth, two why. Anybody tell me? Already talked about it. Why can you not seek for enlightenment?
Can't be learned and conscious.
Exactly. It's enlightenment is an effect. It's the effect of the annihilation of your false self. And that's what I was saying here in this strategy way, everybody. The false self is the persona, and that's what everybody's trying to take with them. Oh, no problem, get rid of the shadow. You're doing that anyway on level 1. And everybody that comes into A Course in Miracles, everybody comes into spirituality, continue that. Because the seeker is the ego. And trying to get rid of the shadow is the great illusion. The ego knows you can't get rid of it. Because that is what the ego is. The ego is the thought that everything that heaven is not. So the strategy here is what? Cause and effect. Alright? So, what do we need to do here to get to level 2? Come on, minds, think.
Become the observer.
2 steps to do before that. Let's start elimination. Let's start ruling out. Right. We can't do anything with the shadow. It's all effects, isn't it? Yeah?
Yeah.
And it's the effects of the persona. So the persona is the focus here of attention, yeah? Alright. But what you can't do, remember this is the strategy, what you can't do with the persona is you can't take yourself on directly.
So you mean you can't take the persona on directly?
No. Because you're still thinking on level 1. You can't eliminate the persona completely.
So you just leave it be and...
No, there's a strategy involved.
Right.
There's a strategy. This is the strategy. What I'm talking about, it's important to realize the things you can't do to get to the things
You can.
you can do.
Uh-huh.
All right? So you can't take this on. There was always a missing piece in my teachings. There was always a missing piece in spirituality, and that was level 2. 3.5 years ago in this very room, I began that journey looking for level 2 and learning it and eliminating everything, going through the laws of cause and effect, going through the 5 levels, going through the 5 layers underneath the levels, and making sure everything equated with everything else. And that's what happened 2 weeks ago. Okay? So, here's the thing. You need this. You need this. All right? So what's going to happen here now, right, is you start to use the ego against itself. All right? Because what you do is you start feeding the ego new information. You start using the seeker to get now a full understanding of the theory only of what you have to do.
Did you say new explanations?
New meanings. So you're giving it new information It's not really new information to the ego. This is why you can get away with this. For example, you're going to teach the ego, in theory, complete responsibility. You're going to teach the ego acceptance. You're going to teach the ego discernment. And you're going to teach the ego forgiveness. And you can do this without the ego lifting a finger to stop you. Why?
Because it's in its own interest.
It's already thoughts within its own system. You're just reinterpreting them now and giving them a different meaning. For
So
example,
basically, you're giving the ego a new explanation, but it thinks it knows it all anyway, so...
right, no rationalizations.
Sorry? Yeah, no, but that's what I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Stop justifying now.
Sorry? I'm trying to understand.
Says the persona. The persona cannot understand. So what this is about now, you see the ego, the persona, when you read in the course where Jesus describes the ego, it says the ego is cunning and devious, the persona, and downright vicious, or shadows. Okay? So you need to understand what's going on here. Alright? So you can't put new thoughts into level 1. Do you know why?
You can't.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Why? This is an error that everybody makes. Why can you not do it? So stop trying. Because it's the ego thought system. It's a closed shop. So if you're down here in level 1 and you're saying, I can't understand that. No, I can't get my head around that. Oh, no, it doesn't make sense to me. What's going on?
The ego's telling you.
No, you are staying on level 1 in the ego thought system, and you have a word, you have a concept, but you can't give it any meaning because the ego hasn't got any meaning for it. So what's the flaw in that?
So you're introducing something to the ego. It doesn't have a box for it, so you can't.
The flaw in this is you know this. Now, you didn't know this beforehand. So stop trying to bring new thoughts into a thought system that's already a closed shop. Because what you do is you set all the ego's defenses up against you, and now you'll think the ego's attacking you. You're provoking an attack, all right, on the ego. The ego doesn't know that that attack might not be successful. So when people ask or bring God into the world, why isn't God doing something? Why doesn't God do this? Why doesn't God do that? And Jesus help me, God help me. Like false prayer out of the persona. Okay? What you're doing is you're trying to bring thoughts that don't exist into level 1. The ego will not permit them. It's like in the power of now. Everybody's looking for the present moment on level 1. It doesn't exist. There's only 2 rooms. There's the future and the past. Did you know that, Rachel? Did you know there's no present moment in your mind? The only choice you have is future and past. It means every thought that you have, you are incepting it into the present moment. And it's always about what you're going to do tomorrow or what you've done yesterday. There's no freedom in that. So you can see this thought system on level 1 is a closed shop. This is why people who are seeking for spirituality have never found it. You can't bring these thoughts in. You can't bring the now into the present moment. It can't be done. So the key here is cause and effect. What you're doing here, right, is you're sitting in an exam and you're going to do this exam whether you like it or not in this lifetime or the next lifetime. And what you're going to do then is you're going to do the test. Well, you're getting the paper, you're getting all the answers, all right? You're getting everything here, but you still won't do it. Do you know why? There's still the ego still has something on you. Even when you get to this point, you still will not do this. If I said to you now, right this moment, walk out that door, all right, and you're back at level 5 for eternity. Will you walk out right now, without a doubt, on anything, without looking back,
Yeah.
without anything?
Yeah.
That's what it takes to do this. But what you're walking out on is the ego's way of thinking only. The ego makes you believe that you're giving up everything for this. The only thing you're giving up is pain. So, cause and effect strategy here, right? So, what do we know? We know we can't get rid of this. Alright? We know as long as we keep using the persona, we keep feeding the shadow. Alright? So, we'll do what Jesus says in the Course. We'll go down the road of reinterpretation. So, I said to you before, responsibility, acceptance, discernment, forgiveness. You're already doing them with the ego on level 1. Because responsibility to the ego on level 1 is rationalizations. When you blame yourself, and that's what responsibility to a lot of people on level 1 means. If I say to you now, right, you need to take responsibility, first thing you're going to do is blame yourself. But remember, yourself in this body is still outside your true self. Alright? So that's a rationalization. You're not taking responsibility. You're projecting onto the body the separated self. Now, do you get that? You see, here, level 2 responsibility, there's no blame. Can you think of that? Monica? Tough, isn't it? Anybody? Can anybody get their head around what it means? Responsibility without blame. And there's a reason why you can't get this into your head. Because this, right, is a completely different mindset. It's a completely different way of thinking. This is the thinking of God. If you want to know how God thinks, it's level 2 thinking. If you want to know how God deals with what He sees in the world, it's level 2 thinking. It's not level 3 thinking, it's level 2 thinking. When Jesus was here 2,000 years ago, and He said at that time, and He says in the Course, I brought down the Holy Spirit to the world. The Holy Spirit is level 2. He was here in the body. He was bringing down right-minded thinking 2,000 years ago. But the world wasn't ready for it. So He told them right-minded parables. So you can see how important it is here, but you can see also it doesn't matter how much you learn in books. It's still hard. This is why it can't be done in a book. Alright? It's still hard to get your head around what complete responsibility is without blame. Okay? So let's show, first of all, what this is all about, because you could turn around and say, well, I could have put any 10 in there. You know, these 10 corrections, I could have put any 10 in there and said it was this, said it was this, said it was this. But I couldn't do that, because I knew that this was going to take care of this. Okay? This mindset is going to take care of this mindset by reinterpretation. Then, this mindset was going to take care of that mindset through cause and effect. Yeah? I also knew once I corrected this mindset, naturally, the effects of that, I would wake up into this mindset. So just for a moment, look at cause and effect. This should put you the focus of exactly what you need to do. And that's what we're here today to do. Simple, practical solutions for you to get to level 2 and get to hell, or get out of hell, out of the ego. Okay? So, let's say, you don't need to even understand this at the moment, because I'll tell you, if you're grasping to understand what responsibility is and acceptance is, that's the persona. So Jesus says, you don't need understanding at this stage. What you do need is trust. So your first thought when I say trust is to trust what I'm saying to you. Isn't that right? To trust that this works. That's the persona also. You know why?
Reliant on understanding or something of it.
No, the persona wants you to believe that this works.
Sorry.
The persona wants you to believe that this works.
Oh.
Why?
Because I want you to think you're in control.
Remember, everything in this world is the opposite of what you think it is. What you should be putting your trust in is, like Jesus says in the Course, is put your trust in what you know. So what is it you know? Why are you here today? There's something you know very well. And because you put your trust into this entity you think it is, or system, you know the ego. Every time you have ever experienced any form of pain, you've indulged in the persona and you've paid the price with the shadow. And you know this. Deep down, you know these thoughts, these judgments against yourself and everybody else are not yours. You know this. But still and all, even here today, I'm showing you a whole new way of doing this. And you'll still look, I don't know if this will work or not. All you're really saying is, I'm going back to the ego for more pain. So let's look at cause and effect. All right? So, solve the problem. Responsibility. When you can take responsibility here, and even for a few moments, just for a few seconds, something amazing happens to this mindset. All right? First thing is, where's my glasses? Remember, this is the persona. First thing is here, responsibility. The thinker. Straight out of the door. You're taking the thinker, the thought system, the ego out of the picture completely. Remember I said to you there's only one problem? That's the thinker. Because every time you have a problem, who do you run to? The thinker, the solver, the puzzler. And the ego loves to solve problems.
So responsibility, I'm in this crap because I'm choosing to be. Responsibility.
Stay a minute. All right. What else does responsibility take out the picture?
The rational.
Yeah. The decision maker? Yeah. The victim? Yeah.
Yes.
And if you're taking out all of these, you're also taking out fear. You're taking out the seeker. So you can see now how powerful that one thought alone will make to your life. This is why this is so difficult to do. You're about to get something that's going to transform your whole life in an instant if you want. The only thing that's going to stop you is you. You will come up with a reason not to do this. You'll forget about it. You'll rationalize it. Because that's what the persona needs to do for it to survive. It can't afford for you to do this. Acceptance. You're already doing acceptance. Okay? On level 1. So acceptance on level 1 is, I'm a victim. This means I have to accept. I have to do the course. I'm in so much pain, I have to do forgiveness. You know, I don't really want to go to that bloody talk, but I have to go because, you know, I need to do something. Isn't that acceptance? Yeah? Isn't that the form of acceptance we've all learned? always backs you into a corner. I have to go to this bloody thing. What are you doing with the ego's acceptance every time? Victim. You're playing the victim. The ego just loves you to play the victim. But you're already taking acceptance, but up here, what you're doing is you're giving it a different meaning. And what you're really saying is, right, if there's a problem in your life, I'm taking full responsibility. I'll go through these at the end, but I just want to show cause and effect at the moment. And what you're accepting here is you're accepting the problem is not in this other person. You see? When you accept with the ego's accepting, I can't do now. It's all about you. But true acceptance, again, is reversed, the opposite of what you think it is, and you're accepting the other person's not to blame. When you can do that in certain situations, you're up in level 2. When you can even take responsibility, hold on a minute here, I reacted, I'm angry, I'm this is all my stuff. You don't need to understand why at that point, but that's only to get you in the door. So you can see here acceptance also takes out the thinker, the decision maker, the rationalizer, and the victim. So as you go down each of these, right, let's look at true empathy. Look at here we're doing false empathy. Okay? False empathy is when you feel sorry for somebody, when you take pity on them. You see this person is less well off than yourself. That might be true in form, but we attach form then to content, and we see this person is destitute, the lack of abundance.
If you've got a friend or a loved one who's going through a hard time and you feel okay, you can feel sorry for them, or you can feel concerned for them. So what is that? How can you rise it out of
False empathy. That's what it is.
Yeah,
To the ego, ego doesn't want you to join with anybody. But the ego does want you to join in either sin or guilt or suffering or pain with everybody. You see, you're in the persona, okay? And the victim is also in the persona. So this is why everybody that's in their persona will always attach themselves to all the victims they see in the world. So teachers who are teaching the course from their persona will do the same. They'll send flowers, they'll teach what the course says not to teach. But this is what the ego wants to teach. So, true empathy takes out false empathy, because true empathy is joining in truth. Okay? You see, here you have discernment. Up here, on level 2, discernment means you look on what's true and what's false. The ego on level 1 is always between what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad. That's discernment to the ego, isn't it? Yeah?
Yeah.
So you can see now, right, the first 4 of those 10 corrections will get you under the ego's radar.
Sorry, can I just clarify something? Did you say that true discernment is knowing true from false?
It's looking at the situation and I'll do this, all right?
But it's true from false versus right from wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you can see true empathy takes out false empathy. Okay? And you can see complete forgiveness takes out the passive aggressive. Okay? Unconditionality takes out the special love. So all of a sudden you have all of these out with these. And when you have these out, that means the special love's out, the special hate's out. If the victim's out, the victimizer's out. If you're not thinking and doing things with the persona and the ego anymore, the sabotagers out. If there's no fear, there's no guilt, because there's no fear in this mind. Okay? Sickness, depression, suffering, anger, disease, and death are all effects of prolonged use of the persona. There's no sickness, there's no fear, there's no cancer on level 2. I can testify that. You know, I've been eating steaks and I smoke and I do all kinds of things for the last 70 years, like, you know. The biggest problem with spirituality in the world today, it's full of
People like you.
spiritual people. Okay? And you see, all these special spiritual people who like to dress in the nice clothes and eat spiritual food. I didn't know there was such a thing. You know? Vegetarians and raw and all of these kind of things really do think that in the spiritual universe there is kind of a vegetarian and raw diet up there. You know?
God is a vegetarian.
It's not about what you eat, it's about what you attach to what you eat. And the problem with spirituality in this world is only got spiritual people. True spirituality means oneness. Oneness means everybody. You see, the persona in its spiritual specialness will want all the nice spiritual people. And maybe some of the religious people, but it depends what religion. Yeah? If you're really good about yourself. But the rest, you know, they're going to hell. They're not a part of this system. You can see this is the thinking of the persona. This is the thinking of the ego. Okay? And if it's your thinking, it has to change, because every rapist, every murderer, every pedophile, everything disgusting in this world is also a part of you.
Yeah, I think it's the hardest things that
Yes.
to grapple with, I think.
Well, you know, if you really want to get out of hell, it's something you really need to grapple with. Because as long as you're trying and saying, this is not a part of me, this is what you're doing with the shadow already. You're projecting your own self-hate, your own murderous thoughts onto other people, and you're saying it's them. Nothing to do with me. The world would be great if these people weren't here anymore, you know.
How do you grapple with that, Michael? You kind of...
The truth. You can't grapple with it in the mind that you're in. And that's what everybody's trying to do. And the other thing they're doing, jumping to the opposite, is, oh, I'm one with everybody.
Yeah, that's where I find myself going from.
You can't do that.
Blaming to...
That concept of oneness is up here. Forget about it. Get to the truth at level 1. All right, get to the hate. Bring it into awareness. Stop trying to be good. Stop trying to be right. You're only feeding into the persona. So what I do with people here, all right, I increase this part from 7% up to 66%.
This part meaning the...
Personality. The part that your higher self, right, chose a personality for you to come into this world and to experience this lifetime. But when you come in here, you sold your soul to the devil, i.e. the persona. And you've been running after dreams and images, false images, loves and hates and all of the rest of it ever since. But while you've been doing that, you've been cultivating a lovely big dark shadow. And it's following you everywhere you go. And now you're trying to get rid of it, which means you're increasing it, because you're giving it more and more energy the more you try to get rid of it.
So when you say to increase the personality, is that introvert, extrovert thing we did before?
The personality at the middle must become all of those personalities that were in my book. If you really want to do this, it means complete. It's one of the characteristics up here, complete open-mindedness. And that means you're not one personality, you're everybody. Jesus says, be all things to all men. Because as long as you say, I'm this, you know, this is me, you're creating a separation between you and everything else. And the ego just loves that. Ego loves labels and names. This is why people jump, no, I'm not a Buddhist, I used to be a Christian, but now I'm a Catholic. You know what I mean? As long as we get an identity. The persona loves attachments. Loves using the coping mechanisms. But here, see up here, 1, complete forgiveness will undo, because here you have the passive aggressor, which basically feeds displacement and sublimation. So when you take care of the passive aggressive, you take care of all your anger issues. Alright? You see, cause and effect, learn cause and effect, you'll just know how the ego works. And the ego, the other thing I said to you about the ego that I didn't say, the ego can't basically have an independent thought on its own. So you know the way you think the ego is basically kind of can manipulate, you can jump about, change the rules of the game, it can't. It's you that's manipulating you.
So the ego cannot have an independent
Thought
thought.
of its own.
So where do the thoughts of the ego originate from?
They're in a device. They're in the thought of separation.
Right, so the ego doesn't generate anything then?
Nothing. There's absolutely nothing here. You see, 0%. The ego only becomes something when we seek outside ourselves. Now you give the ego everything. You give it 100%. Well, not almost 100%. You give it 97%.
So the ego is nothing and it only becomes something.
So all of this is what everybody's looking for. And the strategy here is very, very simple. Okay? For you to get from here to here, all right, this is what you must do. You must use this mindset to reinterpret this mindset, which will then annihilate this mindset. Simple, isn't it? Yeah?
But not easy.
As long as you do one thing. You increase this 7% up to 66%, because what's going to happen is, all right, at the moment in your life, what's happening is you're in the good room, bad room. Okay? You're happy when you get everything you want, and you're depressed when you don't get everything you want.
Very true.
Okay? But here's what's going to happen if you don't increase this personality and take back the power that you're given to the ego every day. All right? You're going to go up and down like this. You're going to be up and down like a yo-yo.
Sorry, Michael, I don't understand.
Because it's the persona that you're attached to is trying to go up. So the persona will try to do this without going through the proper step. Excuse me. So, I put this up on Facebook a couple of weeks ago. And the first thing everybody asked for was the 10 corrections. All right? And what was happening was everybody's going straight to the 10 corrections. And they're going to do the 10 corrections, and they're going to try to do them, and then they're going to say, for fuck's sake, that doesn't work. You know what I mean? Isn't that right, Kevin? Isn't that what they're going to say? Because if that's what the ego would say, wouldn't it? Remember, the ego doesn't want you to do this. And if you're going to do it, then the ego is going to make sure you do it and you're not prepared for it, because then it won't work for you. So the preparation you have to do here is increase this here. And the other thing that's going to help you to do that is what I'm going to do for you now. I'm going to call out the strategy, and I'm going to call out the rules of the game. You like to hear that?
Yeah, sorry, Michael.
Is this how you increase the personality? Are you going to tell us how to do that?
Yeah. Well, would you really like me to take you home, right? Plug you into a system to do all of this for you. But what I'm really saying, but what I'm saying to you here, Karen, is, you know, you have to realize that there's a part of you that's definitely not going to do this. You know the part I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right, and it's going to say that you can't do this, that you need more. What part's that? The seeker? Yeah. You see? So you're going to have to, with the seeker, in particular with this, you're going to say, no, I have to do this. I'm going to stick with this until I get it. Because if you can get responsibility, if you can get this part of it, that's the big switch. So automatically think what the ego will think. You have enough information. You can't do this. The ego's going to wear you down. It's going to do everything it can to make sure you can't do it, because it can't do this. So there is a way that you can do this, that you can basically up. You see, when you up the personality, you deflate the persona. And the moment you start deflating the persona, the shadow also must deflate. Both the shadow and the persona have to balance. So if you have a big persona, you're going to have a big shadow, and if you're not dealing with the persona, it means, and you're only dealing with the shadow, it means you're basically running into the wind. Because what you're throwing out, you replenish it straight away. Sorry, Monica, you were going to ask something?
It's the same question. What does that mean, increase the personality?
Yeah, I mean, quite simply now, you have to look at your thoughts. You have to look at your decisions. You have to look at everything you're doing, and are you doing it with investment? And you have to look at then, are you trying to fix people? You know, because this is the fixer also. You You see, you have to become aware of all of these here and now become and say, I'm not going to do it this way, I'm going to do it this way. That's all.
So Michael, you just,
And now you're going to take power back from the persona, because once you stop doing it with the persona, you have to be doing it with God.
you're saying if you diminish one, you diminish the other.
Yes.
But you have to do it from, you can't attack it.
No.
And if you work, so if you focus on your shadow,
Yeah.
you're only increasing it.
Yeah. See, the key here, right, is the thinking. And responsibility is going to take you into the thinking. All right? And it's an amazing mindset to be in. Everything is so clear. The insights start to flow in all the time. Sharon's having these experiences, plus all the students, or most of the students that I'm working with now on level 2 are all having those experiences.
Because they've managed to shut the thinker up, is it?
Well, you can't, you see, you're falling into the basic error here. You're attacking directly the ego, and that's why you have this energy of force of, resistance against this. You can't do that. That's what I was explaining here. You have to use the ego against itself. Do you understand? I know you don't understand, because that's telling you something very important. What's it telling you? You need to increase the personality. You're too invested in your persona. It means you're thinking and making decisions, and you're doing, you're planning. Remember, the persona is also the future. Okay? So, right. So let's get to the rules. Okay? There's a lot of rules here. Okay? And I'm not going to hand them out to you.